Hello, hey, welcome back to our second show of Tech Talk live with Doug Crawford. That's me. I'm happy to be here with you all again, and I hope you are with me. And we are doing our first completely live program. That means that we are going to be doing the show over the internet and over the airwaves live at the same time, where you can communicate with us and interact with us with our technical questions and comments and things. So we introduced this show last week, and that was our introductory show, but it was recorded, and it's been playing all week long. Maybe you've caught it once or twice, maybe 3 times if it was really interesting. And we told you what our show was going to be about. And it's basically everything tech. And that is from computers to consumer electronics to things in our home, home automation. It could be energy, all kinds of things that we could go into, not just computers. So, but we will cover things about consumer electronics and tips, how-tos, explanations of how things work, where it might help us to be more productive and do our things with technology better. New products that are coming out we'll cover, and we'll have special guests and interviews when appropriate. So our goals in all this is to bring you an interesting program, and to bring you a program that perhaps energizes your creativity, maybe increases your productivity, reduces the problems that you have with technology, things going wrong, help you stay out of problems with technology, help you keep things running smoother, and ultimately, maybe with some of our consumer electronic information, make you a smarter shopper, better consumer, and save you money. So this is a live show. Right now, I am monitoring on one computer here our Facebook page. So this is where you can contact us via Facebook. And I should see a notification come up over here. If you go to our Facebook page, look for Tech Talk Live. There is a search mechanism in Facebook. Right there at the top center, underlined by the purple line, is where you can type in Tech Talk Live. And then it should come up in the listing right underneath where you typed. And you click on that, and it should be on our Facebook page. If you're Facebook users, you'll know all about that. Otherwise, you'll be doing some experimenting to figure that out. We'll cover Facebook and maybe some of its intricacies in one program, but it's not the subject of this now. It would get too complicated too quickly. So, let me take a peek ahead. All right, yeah, let's show this too. Here's our phone numbers. We're not only working over the internet, but plain old telephone users and cell phone users can talk with us also and call in on these 2 numbers, 610-327-9682 and 610-327-9620. Back to me. Yeah, okay, so we're going to dive right in, and tonight's Tech Talk talking will be about computers. You see, the way I figure it, I'm going to be covering a lot of things about the internet, ultimately. The internet is the information power source and information resource tool. It is a learning tool. It is information. It's entertainment. So because of that, I want to make sure that you can follow me when I'm working on a computer and showing you things that I'm doing. And this will also perhaps give you a little better education or a little more information about how to use use Windows. Okay, so I'm going to go to my desktop and we're going to start right in. This is going to be fairly introductory level things about Windows. Now, I'm assuming that by now, probably anybody that's at all interested in this show does have a computer, has launched their Windows, and probably gotten onto the internet and poked around and does email. So, however, I have watched a lot of people who have used computers for years, and I've seen what they have wandered into and what they haven't wandered into. So, let's look at my desktop now, and let me show you around and talk to you about the Windows desktop in some ways that maybe you haven't experienced. Now, okay, so this is the left-hand side of my screen. All right, so what we have here, we have the desktop background. All right, that's this whole area up and around here. It includes all of the icons. Okay. On the background are maybe one or two or maybe many icons. Now, my system's kind of complex, so I have a lot of icons. These are basically all programs that I use and documents that I reference quite frequently. And I want to have them close at hand. And that's really what your background is for, is to have your most frequently used things right there in front of you, very close at hand. Now, I'm running Windows XP. If you've recently got your computer, it will probably have Windows 7 on it, most certainly. Windows 7 on a recent one. If you got it a few years ago, it might have Windows Vista. This is the predecessor to both of those, Windows XP. The level that I'm going to talk should be fairly generic to all three versions, so you shouldn't have very much trouble following along with this. All right, so the background, the icons. Now, down here in the left corner is the Start button. You folks have probably used this, but let's give it a display here. The Start button is kind of the one anchoring place that Microsoft decided to put all the controls for most of the things that you need to do with the computer, for managing the computer. So what the Start button does is it's supposed to be your starting point for doing anything with the computer. Now, typically Windows comes configured with the first few items in this box area up here as being things that they think you're going to use right away. So typically your browser will be there, a link for Windows Update will be there, and that's what's in that area. It is customizable, however. You can put whatever you want into there. We'll show that at some point when it's appropriate. Now, there's a line that delineates the bottom half of this box area, and these icons here, these are programs that you have recently launched. So I've recently used these programs, and Windows is trying to make it easy for you to relaunch a program that you recently used, to make it so you don't have to go find it again, and it's a convenience feature. Okay. Up in this area are basically storage areas, places where things get stored when you're done with them. Like when you write a document and you save it, it typically ends up right here in My Documents. If you have a photo program, it usually leaves the photos that you move into the computer in the My Pictures area. My Music, same thing for music. If you download music, it usually ends up in there. So these are the storage areas, and they're quick links, so if you click on one, it opens up a display of the items in that storage area. Okay. Then there's a divider line, and then there are some icons for programs that help you manage the computer. Let's see. Okay, we'll keep going here. Finally, there are some other icons that are for your benefit to help you find information. The search facility is there. If you know you've stored a document away and it didn't end up in the place where you thought it was, you've got a chance at finding it with the search feature. Now, also under the Start menu are a couple of buttons here. Log off we won't get into, but turn off the computer is important. You've probably been here unless you just used the button on your keyboard to do this. But Windows gives you options on whether to fully shut down the machine, which is what turn off refers to. Then you may or may not have options for standby and hibernate. It depends on how it's configured, but these are low power partial shutdown features that allow you to mostly turn the computer off but get it to turn back on again really quickly if you are just going to leave it for a little while. And restart is when you want to force the computer to shut all the way down, but you want it to come back up again automatically right away and turn back on again by itself. So those are all features of the turn off computer part of the start button. All right, so moving along, still describing the basic desktop. In this area below the icon area of the desktops, these are referred to as program tabs, and they represent each program that is currently running on the computer. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 programs open, and we'll talk about that in a second. We're gonna talk a little bit about how to manage more than one program running. You see, well, let me get back to it in just a second. Let's finish just the tour. All right, this interesting little area down here has more pictures in it. The pictures look very much like icon pictures on the desktop, only they're smaller. You might wonder, are they the same thing? Why are they there? What are they doing? Well, these little pictures represent system programs that are running behind the scenes, taking care of things, or partially loaded programs that let you know that they have loaded to a certain point and they're ready to run, and they'll come up very quickly. For instance, let me give you a couple examples. Here is, I'm pointing to the program that manages my laptop's touch surface, the mouse touch pad and the mouse buttons. And there are some options that can be controlled with that. And this program here can be activated to manage settings in that area. This picture here is OpenOffice. It means OpenOffice's manager is running, and the lion's share of OpenOffice is loaded and ready to run. It doesn't have to come in off of hard disk every time I launch it. Let's see what else is here that's interesting. Typically your security programs will have a little indicator here of the fact that they're running, and if you can activate their control program by clicking on those. One of the ones you'll frequently use on here if you have a laptop is the wireless connection. There will be a picture on here that represents the connection to the wireless network, and as you move from place to place, you may be using that utility to tell your computer that you want to connect to the local wireless network that's available. So that's why these are here. Then you have the date and time usually displayed here, and this is showing you what the computer thinks the date and time is. Now, Windows usually is setting itself to a date time that it retrieves from the internet and keeps up to date. So you often do not have to manage that yourself. But if you ever find that it's wrong, or maybe it's, I don't know, you went to a different time zone and you need to change the date and time. Well, now we're going to start talking about how to change the system. But I think we'll take a little break and come back and talk about making some changes to the desktop.